All right, 7th grade, we're here talking about the Highwayman, reviewing a little bit for your test. So, the Highwayman, I personally found interesting, and I learned an interesting little fact here, which I thought was worth knowing. So, the landlord's daughter is named Bess. If you recall, the Highwayman is about the outlaw who's in love with the landlord's daughter. The stable boy sees it. He's jealous, so he lets the cops know, and by the cops, I mean the British regulars, who set her up in a situation where she'll have to be shot or lead him to his death, and she chooses to sacrifice her own life for the sake of saving her lover. And her lover goes a little mad at that and charges at the British regulars and is gunned down for it, and then there's talk about their love. Well, one interesting thing I learned, and I don't know if it was intentional, I couldn't find it, but I learned that in this time period there was a musket called a Brown Bess. Landlord's daughter's name is Bess. But it's an interesting sort of aside that she who's killed by a musket shares a name with one. So I thought that was an interesting little aside. Now remember, the Highwayman is a narrative poem, meaning there's a clear plot to it, there's a clear progression. I just summed it up for you. It's broken up into stanzas. You need to know what a stanza is for the test. Go take a look at that, read through this. The Highwayman, I think, it's a good poem. I like having it on there. And it would naturally pair with other poems from the same sort of time period. So there's a couple narrative poems we looked at. Casey at the Bat is a narrative poem in which the Mudville Nine are down in a baseball game. And no one thinks Casey's going to get to the bat, but Flynn lets drive a single to the wonderment of all, and Blake the must despised tore the cover off the ball. And when the smoke is settled and the crowd seemed what it occurred, there was there was Blake a hugging second and Flynn a hugging third. I can't believe I still have that memorized. And then Casey comes to the bat and he passes on the first pitch. He lets it go by. The crowd's ready to kill the umpires. He lets a second pitch go by. And the crowd's really ready to get it. Casey stares it down. Then, of course, he clenches his teeth with hate. He's ready to go. He's not going to let the ball go by again. The air is shattered by the force of Casey's blow, but he missed the pitch and he strikes out, and Mudville loses the ball game. There is no joy. Mighty Casey has struck out. Another narrative poem. There's a clear plot that happens in that. Charge of the Light Brigade. Not quite narrative. There are narrative aspects to it. Thinking about it, how there's the clear going forward, there's not really any individual characters. It's more retelling of an event. And Charge of the Light Brigade is largely a non-fiction telling of an actual charge that happened in the Crimean War. You'll probably want to remember that. And it's based off a real event. All important things here. You're going to want to take a look at rhyme scheme as you're going through these. Rhyme scheme is an important thing. Remember, we talked about the whole A-B rhyming pattern. If you've forgotten that, we're reviewing right now. Taking the simple poem, roses are red, violets are blue. Papa John serves pizza, Domino's does too. So we have 4 lines here. First line, roses are red. We have the ed sound at the end. A, that is our A sound. Violets are blue. Different sound, different letter. B. Papa John serves pizza. There's a third sound. C. Domino's does too. That rhymes with our blue. Our second down, so that's B. So we would have an A, B, C, B rhyme scheme in this poem. That's how you label rhyme scheme as you go through it. You need to think about the end sounds in any given poem. Now, that's all important. We covered a few non-narrative poems, a lot of shorter poems, which I will cover in a separate video. This one I'm just focusing on really the narrative ones. And I think this video's, at 4 minutes has gone on long enough for this. We'll review some more. There'll be some more videos. I'll see you in the next one, 7th grade.